What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Built Different podcast, brought to you by Tucker Speed. Today, we are joined by another local shop owner, bike builder, car builder, Dave Christensen of Powercult Performance. He's built some really rad bikes in the past. He's been in the scene for a long time. You know, they do some car builds, some truck builds at his other business, and we talked about that. We talked about, raising kids. Me and Dave are similar in age. We talked a lot about growing up as skate, BMX, motocross kids and how that transitioned into motorcycles. We talked a little bit about JiuJitsu and just life and parenting. It was a great conversation with a really great dude. I hope you guys enjoy the conversation. But first, remember, this podcast is brought to you by TuckerSpeed.com, your one-stop shop for all your performance needs. Get a hold of us. We'd love to help you out getting your bike dialed in this off season, get you, rolling for next summer. Coming out shortly is our biggest sale of the year, our Black Friday sale. It'll be out real soon. Stay tuned with in our email, social media for details on that coming out really quick. And lastly, if you've been enjoying the show, please do us a huge favor. Follow, leave us a 5-star review, and maybe even share it with a buddy or two. Really just helps us get this podcast going. It's relatively new, and we're trying to get it out there to as many people. I hope you guys enjoy the episode.
Making power by day, making friends at night. Built different, Tucker Speed. Hell yeah, brother.
Are we rolling, Jordan? Rolling.
Rolling.
What's up, Dave?
What up, man?
Thanks for joining me.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Been an honor to be here. Or it is an honor.
So you're Dave Christensen of Powercult Performance.
Yeah. I guess you could say that.
Any other businesses of yours that you want to claim on the podcast? I know you're kind of a man of many talents and hats. You got a lot going on. But
I do. I guess
the Powercult thing is kind of like your...
It's a passion project.
Yeah.
It's a way to lose money.
Yeah.
They say you want to lose money quick, start a t-shirt business.
Yeah, for real. Yeah. I mean, the motorcycles are cheap, right?
It's a bad addiction.
Yeah.
We should have just stuck to the easy stuff.
Well, it's hard. I mean, you did it for a long time where you were just kind of like... It was just what you were into, right?
Yeah.
Like you were just into motorcycles, and then you try and make a business out of it somehow. And then, I don't know, then it just gets worse from there.
Just think if all you wanted to do is buy a new pair of basketball shoes and a basketball.
Right.
It'd be a lot easier.
Yeah, for sure. Trying to keep up with trends or try and stay relevant. Like if you're in the industry, I feel like you have to be building something new all the time.
Yeah, especially if you're trying to go towards a target audience. With Powercult, there definitely has been a target audience in the past, but lately I think we're letting it go because, like you said, we're into just so many different things. It's that, and it gets boring to just do one thing.
Yeah.
That's been the blessing and the curse of my life, is being able to do different things. But
what all does Powercult? You guys are doing cars, trophy trucks, all kinds of stuff. It's just a little bit of everything.
Yeah. So basically we own a junkyard here in Utah. We have a place called Utah Pick Apart. And that actually is the breadwinner that allows us to play in the shop. Mm-hmm. So we're able just to basically keep that thing smooth sailing, and it allows us to do all the other little hobbies and interests we're into. But basically, my passion has been motorcycles for years, for the last at least 20. Mm-hmm. But then little things pop up, like hobbies or bro hobbies.
Yeah.
It could be from anything from RC cars to, like you said, it was like a dream. I guess right now I'm fulfilling all my childhood dreams. Mm-hmm. I wanted a trophy truck, but oh my gosh, pre-runners. My truck is by far not a trophy truck, but off-road truck, it's so expensive. When you when I was 16, I wanted one, but basically it turns into a street runner. You afford fiberglass or make it look like it's flared or make it look like it has suspension, but it's basically stock.
Right.
Might have been a leveling kit with oversized tires, and then we go jump it out in the desert and get stuck. And so basically, I guess, you know, you could say with time, you get adult money, things change. But some of the things we build are so stupid, like, because they're just childhood, they're teenager dreams.
But it's cool. I mean, like, you get, like you said, it's a passion project. Like, you know, it's kind of a little side hustle, if you will, that can kind of build a little brand around. And you guys create a little bit of content, you know, social media, YouTube stuff, which is cool.
We tried to dabble in a little all that.
Yeah.
Like you said, trying to stay relevant or try to get out there. I don't think me or my partner in the merch company care about being famous by any means. We just want to do cool stuff.
You just want to be able to make enough money to afford your hobby, right?
Yeah, I think that's what most of us do.
Yeah.
Support the addiction.
Yeah. But it's not easy though either. I mean, the thing is like Instagram, YouTube, all the different social media, it's so easy for you to do it, but it's easy for everybody to do it. So it's so hard to break into it and like get, you know, go viral or whatever, you know, and get big because there's so many people trying to do it. So you get a little bit lost. It's cool. I think like if you think back, like in the 90s, like, you know, early 2000s or even older, like if you got in a magazine, whether it was a motorcycle magazine, skate magazine, truck magazine or whatever, like that was a big deal. And like you've made it. Like social media is like leveled the playing field where everybody can put their stuff out there. But then it's weird because there's not like these like rock stars anymore. You know what I mean? Like
Especially nowadays.
It's leveled everybody, you know. And so like if you think about like who's the rock star right now in like the motorcycle world or the car world or the truck world or whatever it is, like there isn't like 5 people that are like the Rushmore of that industry. It's just like there's tons of people out there.
Yeah.
That you know of because you see them all on Instagram.
Exactly. Especially in like there's so many genres. You might ask your kid like, who's your idol? Who's the coolest person around? And might be some Instagrammer or nowadays TikToker.
Oh yeah, that doesn't even have a talent.
Doesn't have a talent.
They just post videos.
Yeah, and for some reason they're famous now.
Yeah.
It baffles me.
Yeah, it's crazy because my kids watch all these YouTube videos that, you know, have millions of views. And it's just like little kids playing with toys or little kids just playing at home. You know?
What's that one little kid that his parents just film him playing with toys? Now he has like his own toy line in Walmart.
I can't remember his name, but yeah, that's one of them.
Oh my gosh.
You know,
I want some of that Mr. Beast money though.
Oh, for real.
Dude.
You know, another example of like, I mean, and I don't want to call him, you know, I don't want to say he's not talented, but like he's not like in the shop building cars or motorcycles or, you know, he's not like a skateboarder, like, you know, shredding the skate parks or anything. He's just like coming up with crazy ideas and making millions of dollars.
Yeah, I think the only thing I could say is you got to take your hat off for him just putting in the time and like basically just putting himself out there because I'm sure, like you said, anyone could do this, but you have to be able to put yourself out there.
Yeah, and it takes a certain bit of smarts to figure out what's going to get the views, right? Like, I don't think he just stumbled into it. Like there probably was some luck, but to get like where he's at now, there's some thought put into it.
100%. I listened to his podcast on Rogan, and he has like, it's a science. He's got it down.
Yeah.
Where he knows algorithms and exactly what does good and what doesn't.
Yeah.
And so he put in a long enough time and put that. I guess the word is the content, pushing out that content.
Yeah.
Because if you don't put out content, then there's no one to watch it.
Yeah, and that's the hard part, I think, you know, that you've probably found, that I've found, is like content, good content, and like at a high frequency. Like it's got to be all the time or you lose people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if you don't have a new video out every other day, people just forget about you.
Yeah. And then there's your target audience. I think I read somewhere where most of his audience is like 14 and below. So it's
Really?
like all your kids just watching.
Well, and that
All the
you know,
iPad kids.
Yeah. And how many kids, you know, are watching YouTube now instead of Saturday morning cartoons? You know what I mean? Like how many, do your kids watch TV? My kids don't really watch TV.
No.
Like they never turn the TV on.
I tried to get them to watch some Halloween movies this season, and
Yeah.
they're like, no.
Yeah, my kids would just assume like either on an iPad or on their phone, sit in their bedroom and just watch YouTube.
Yeah.
They're not watching TV like, you know, like we used to, like, you know what I mean? Like
Saturday morning cartoons.
fighting over the one TV in the house, you know. Your dad comes home and he's like, "Nope, TV's mine." And you're like, "Damn it."
Watching Topanga Friday nights.
Yeah, no kidding.
TGI Friday.
Yeah, those days are gone. And all those millions of viewers that were watching that stuff in the 90s, all those views are now on TikTok or YouTube or wherever. It's
wild.
different times.
Yeah, and it's constantly still changing.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we were talking earlier, like, I mean, what podcast do you listen to?
I mean, the first one mainly is Joe Rogan. I was mentioning to you that I don't know what it is, but his like voice calms me down. Like when I get in the morning, when I get in my truck and hear his voice, whoever he's, I don't know, some people that he interviews I don't care for, but for the majority of the time I listen to him. All the comedians now have podcasts and they're hilarious. I mean, what better to get you through your day than like comedy
some
and
good
laugh.
humor.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I love, now that I'm on camera in my face, I'm blanking out, but Tom Segura, one of my favorites. He has one, him and his wife called Your Mom's House. It's hilarious.
Really?
Yeah.
I haven't listened. I listened to Rogan and I listened to the Meat Eater podcast. And
Yeah,
that's
it's
the
crazy.
only two podcasts that I really listen to. I don't even listen to this podcast, which is funny, but I don't like to listen to myself.
I can see that, yeah.
You know,
I don't like watching
it's
myself.
weird, you know.
My
I try.
kids, what about your kids? Do they like it?
No, they don't listen to it. But no, I don't think my kids really listen to any podcasts though. Like I don't think they've really gotten to the age where they're like listening to a podcast, like they're listening to just conversation. I think they like to see, you know, they'll watch somebody play Minecraft for 4 hours.
Oh, dude, that one
But
drives me
you know what I mean?
nuts.
Yeah.
I don't know how anyone could do that.
But I don't think that they're really into like listening to a conversation yet. I just don't know if they're not
Yeah, it's
quite
like watching
old
the
enough.
news when you're a kid.
Yeah.
You didn't want to watch the news with your parents.
Right.
It seems so boring.
Right. I think it's kind of that same thing.
Or
Like
talk radio,
Yeah.
which was
Yeah.
before its time of podcasts.
Like that was, I mean, I never wanted to listen to that. Like,
Yeah, shoot me in the head.
yeah. So it's kind of, I think my kids don't really listen to podcasts, so they don't listen to mine. So
Meat Eater's a funny one. I didn't take you for the hunter-gatherer.
I love that stuff. I don't do any of it now. I did as a kid. Like my dad hunted when I was young, and we used to hunt when I was younger, and a lot of my dad's family does. My dad kind of got out of it, when I was late teens, and I just never really like did it on my own without him.
Yeah.
Like once he kind of quit, like I just didn't pursue it. Like, but I there's times where I miss it, like. And it was about that time that like we really started, like as a family, like we started to get into power sports and motorsports, like dirt bikes and ATVs and sand rails and stuff. So it was like my focus kind of shifted from like hunting into that stuff, and then like that's just kind of took over my life at that time.
Yeah. How old were you when you got your first motorcycle?
Probably 10.
Do you remember that day still?
It was actually an ATV. It was a four-wheeler. It was the first, and it just happened. Like it wasn't even technically mine. It was like my uncle's that my dad borrowed to like help us like do some work around the yard. And then it just like got left at our house. and like behind our house was just like woods, and I'm just like, I'm just gonna hop on this thing and just start riding. And that's really, and I was the oldest of all my siblings, and I hopped on that thing and just started tearing through the woods. And then a buddy across the street, he had like a farm machine 4-wheeler that he like hopped on, and we would just terrorize the neighborhood. And that's really kind of where it started for me. Like, and then me and him were like begging our dads to buy us like a motocross bike, and we both got motocross bikes, and then, you know, it kind of just went from there.
That's awesome.
So
I can still remember my first one. It was a YZ60. It was a Christmas. I don't remember exactly how old I was. Probably like 7 or 8. It was a yellow YZ60. It was around the first year of the first monoshock.
mm-hmm.
And Christmas was over, and they're like, all right, let's go in and have some breakfast. And it was sitting in the kitchen.
Oh, really?
Just like complete
How old
surprise.
were you?
I think 7.
Okay.
I probably have to do the math and look up what year the monoshock came out with.
Yeah.
'Cause I remember, yeah, it was a YZ60 yellow, and it was, the kickstand was sitting on a paper plate, so it didn't.
Oh, like scratch up the floor?
Yes. Oh my gosh. It's 2-stroke. And that we had that bike for years. In fact, we'd still have it, but they gave it away while I was out of the country for a
Really?
while. Yeah. I was so bummed. I wish I still had that bike. It's perfect like pit bike nowadays. It's like the same size.
Yeah, I was always like drawn to 2 wheels, like, even because we spent a lot of time riding 4-wheelers as a kid, like, but I was always like just infatuated with 2 wheels. Like motocross was like my thing. We went over to one of my dad's buddy's house one time, and he had a CR80, like just sitting in the garage, and I'm like, can I ride that thing? And he's like, sure. And I hopped on it and like was tearing around the backfield, and like I ate shit on that thing so hard, like, but like I
always wanted an 80. Those things that was like the first like size bike that really looks like a race bike.
Yeah, had that like, I'd say modern for the time.
Yeah.
Modern kind of motocross
There was a couple
look.
neighborhood kids that had this sweet 80. There was like a retro, like yellow one with blue and turquoise crazy patterns on it. Oh, that thing, I wanted one of those so bad.
Yeah, and I had a buddy in junior high that he had a KX100, you know, and that thing was just like the coolest bike ever, you know, to us. Like,
Oh, yeah.
it was bigger than an
100.
80.
Yeah.
You know, it was like, but we weren't quite big enough to ride big bikes yet, but that 100 was just like, you know, it was like, you know, the green with like the purple graphics and the purple seat, and it's just cool as shit.
Crazy that we're old enough that those patterns are all coming back in style.
Oh, I know.
100%.
Me and my buddy from high school that we both got brand new CR125s together. Our dad bought us both a CR125 when we were teenagers, and we rode the hell out of those things together. And we still talk a lot and hang out and stuff. And we've been talking about like finding a 97 CR125 together and just like restoring it back to like showroom,
Yeah.
like status, like how we both got ours. Like back
That would be
then.
the coolest. I've dabbled in trying to find my first bike. Well, not the same one, but like same year, same colors, and like restore it.
Yeah.
Have you seen like videos on YouTube? Guys go nuts on restoring those old.
Oh, dude, like there's a guy I know in Salt Lake, Spencer Lujak. I don't know if you know him, but he's kind of big in the motocross world. But he like builds some legit like restored like 90s motocross bikes and then sells them, and they sell for crazy money, man. Like 20-30 grand.
That's sick.
That some dude just like has to have it for like to put in his garage or in his man cave because it's what he rode back in the day, you know?
Oh, exactly. That the 125. That was the first year I started racing. Was 125s. My dad wouldn't let me race until I could drive myself to the track because
really?
he knew I was going to get hurt, and I was always hurt.
Yeah.
Always. I took the ambulance home many times.
Yeah.
From the Las Vegas Speedway track.
You guys were in Vegas at the time?
I was
Oh, that's
still in
right.
Vegas.
You grew up in Vegas, right?
Grew up in Las Vegas. I've been in Utah since 2008.
Okay.
So I've been here for a while now. But yeah, I grew up, my grandpa and my dad, big desert racers. They did like the old Vegas to Reno stuff, like best in the desert.
Okay.
race series,
Like the long distance desert
long
stuff.
distance, and Husqvarna's cool bikes. Before Husqvarna's was like race bikes and owned by KTM.
Yeah.
Like, and I know
Back when they were like just an off-road, like not motocross, but like they were desert bikes.
dude, one of the fastest bikes I've ever ridden to this day is his 2-stroke 510 dual exhaust. Dude, that thing was, I looped that thing so many times.
Yeah.
Doing wheelies on the street.
I did the same thing. I don't know what my dad was thinking, but I was 16 or 17, and we were, like I said, we were riding a lot of ATV stuff. We were doing a lot of dune riding, and I got that 125, and I'd take that out to the dunes, but that 125 was just getting worked out in the sand, you know. So he like buys me this CR 500. You know what I mean? And I'm like 16 years old. I probably weighed 100 pounds.
That's the dune machine.
And dude, I don't know how many times like I just would like blip the throttle on that thing like I would on my 125, and it would just send me. You know, I just.
Especially with paddles in the sand.
Yeah, you know, like the first time I ever rode it at the dunes, like it had a paddle on it. And it was kind of like it rained like the day before, so the sand was like kind of heavy, so it was hooking pretty good. But I like roll up, and like there's just this little roller, and like on my 125, I could just like hit that roller and just like, brap, like just like kind of just dump it, and like I hit that thing in that 500, and it just like bottomed out and like accidentally seat bounced me and just pitched me forward. Like I was like it, you know, and that happened so many times. I can't believe my dad bought me that bike, but
Cool enough that you still remember it today.
oh, for sure. Yeah.
That's like the first bike that I'd be scared of. Like, holy crap, you have a 500?
Yeah.
Like, that's insane. I've had like, I remember a neighbor was like, yeah, you want to ride it? And I was like, no.
It was scary, man. You know, like in it, like we took that bike. We took a bunch of bikes. Me and my buddies, we went to St. George for spring break one year in high school, and we took all of our bikes down there to like just ride around in the desert and stuff. And one of our buddies, like his parents were like, do not ride anything. Like you're forbidden to ride anything. Like don't touch a motorcycle, an ATV or anything. Sure enough, we unload everything off the trailer, and he hops on that 500. And like within 5 minutes of us being there, he's like wadded up out in the desert and has to go to the hospital. You know what I mean? That 500 would just eat people up.
And then you have to call the parents and tell them.
Oh, they were so mad. And they had to like drive down to St. George and pick him up.
When we used to go to the track, every time I'd wreck, my friends would all like have to draw straws on who's going to call my dad, because he would like freak out on them. He's like, I don't want to call his dad. You call him. Like, you call him. And every time he'd get pissed, like it was their fault or something. And
right.
It's no one's fault but my own. But then, and he always tell me, he's like, don't get in the ambulance. No ambulance rides. That's expensive. Just put him in the car and I'll meet you in at the hospital. And too many times I had to do that.
Yeah. Good times though. I mean, that's what it was all about growing up. Like, how old are you now?
I'm 40. I'll be 41 in January.
Okay. So we're close to the same age.
Oh
I'm 43.
Feels old.
Oh, yeah. It feels way old, especially with a broken leg right now. I definitely feel way old.
Are you going to stay off the dirt tracker?
Probably the dirt tracker.
Flat track bike?
That's the one that always hurts me. Like the BRL bike has not been, like it's been relatively safe. Like I've gone down a couple times, but never like, you know, like you're wearing a lot more protective gear, and there's like runoff areas on those tracks. So you just kind of like slide, you know what I mean? Like it's relatively safe, although, you know, the speeds are a lot higher. But every time I get hurt, it's on that dirt track bike.
High siding into the wall.
Yeah. You know, just stupid stuff like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. The thing is I still love doing it.
Dude, you know, you inspired me and you helped me build a flat track bike, and I never got to race it. It was around the time that like X Games introduced it as a sport, and I was like, no way, this is my time to shine. I'm gonna be in the X Games at 39, 40 years old. And then COVID hit and it died.
Yeah. And the hooligan scene was kind of like a flash in the pan. It got really big, and then it kind of died off like just as quick.
Yeah.
It came on, and I was just lucky enough that like I got in at the right time and was lucky enough to go to X Games. which is like even still like it was 5 years ago now, and it's still wild to think that.
Already?
Yeah, it was 2018.
You were in the X Games.
Yeah.
That's
And like,
so
you know,
freaking
growing
cool.
up like in the 90s and 2000s, like the X Games for us were
Pinnacle.
like the thing, you know what I mean?
Coolest thing ever.
Yeah.
Screw the Super Bowl. You went to the X Games.
Right. So it was like, I just happened to get into it at the, you know, at the right time. I got into it in 2017 and just got lucky enough to kind of get into it at the right time. And then
Was it only 1 year that they did X Games?
they did it three
Hooligan?
years.
They did it 3 years?
Yeah, 3 years. I went back because they ran what they did is just like, it was a one race qualifier. So like you'd have to go to that race, and then like the top so many in that race got to go to X Games. And I went to the next year's qualifier, but I crashed and didn't qualify for 2019. So
Dude, that's the other cool thing was all the like heroes that you were racing against. I got to go watch you in Salt Lake. Mm-hmm. And you're racing like with Travis Pastrana.
yeah,
Like
that
total
was another
childhood, even though we're around the same age, but I watched him.
But still, he was like a child star. You know, he's the same age as us, but he's all over, you know, motocross movies and all over X Games and stuff. Yeah, that was a wild moment. Like when I lined up on the starting line, and he's like legit lined up right next to me.
Yeah,
and he looks over to me and he's like screaming in his helmet and he like fist bumped me. I was just like, whoa.
How surreal.
Yeah, it was wild.
Dude.
Yeah, it was wild. So
Yeah, I think that weekend gave me the bug. I was like,
Really?
I gotta build one. And we built a hell of a bike.
Mm-hmm.
That was a fun build. I mean, we'll get into that. That's mostly what Powercult's done for me, and is just allow me to get in and build whatever I want.
yeah.
And that's like what drives me is, well, I don't know, I guess it's like art. You get to express yourself in different ways, and there's a billion different ways to do it in motorcycles.
For sure.
But
That's the beauty of motorcycles, but that's, you know, it's weird that everything gets so clicky too, you know. But yeah, I mean I think
that goes away with age. Clickiness. I was definitely super clicky when I started in it.
Really?
And I'm like, I just want to be friends with different people and do things, and
it's all cool shit, right?
dude,
It's all cool. Whether you're building, you know, an old school chopper, a hooligan, you know, flat tracker, or a 2023 Road Glide.
Yeah.
Or if you're restoring old motocross bikes. Like that shit, you know, it's all cool.
It's all expensive.
It's all expensive. Yeah.
I almost got to race that bike. We had the last local hooligan race at the Utah. Did you race that race at
Oh, the one here, yeah, at the fairgrounds.
the fairgrounds? Yeah.
Yeah, I raced out there.
That was the last chance I was gonna get, and I said if I don't race this one, I'm selling it. And didn't race.
Didn't race.
Yeah.
Well, and it sucked because you built that bike and you started building it in what, like 2019?
Yeah.
And then the next year, like 2020, like all the hooligan racing and everything kind of got shut down for a while.
Yeah.
And what year was that race? The one here, was that in 2021?
It was like the first year that like COVID finally started to slow down.
I think
for
it was
the world.
20. Yeah, I get so bad. Like I lose track of time. It's crazy to think like the X Games was 5 years ago. Like it just still blows my mind. I lose track of all these years.
I fully feel like we got robbed of 3 years of our lives
A little bit.
because of the shutdown.
Yeah.
Even though we in Utah just skated by under the radar.
I think we did for sure. I mean, like,
Dude, I talked to people in other states and they're like, yeah, we can't even go to work. My buddy got paid 2 solid years to stay at home. He worked for the casinos in Vegas. Can you imagine sitting
hanging
at
out?
home and they kept everyone on payroll and he sat at home for 2 solid years?
wow. Yeah, I mean, I didn't get that luxury. I mean, the crazy thing for me is like 2020 was like a killer year for us business-wise. I was busier than ever in 2020. And, you know, I do think Utah kind of kind of floated under the radar a little bit
No,
with
we
COVID.
did.
I mean,
We didn't change shit.
not really.
We didn't do anything other than put up a plexiglass thing on our countertop.
Yeah. Yeah, it was pretty minimal. Like, and I remember like me and Jordan went somewhere that year and we stopped in Vegas. And it was weird because like you couldn't even walk in the front door without a mask. And then we were like, well, let's go down and gamble. And like we sit down at like a blackjack table and we're like sitting in a glass cube like by yourself, like, you know, three-sided, like you know, between you and the dealer and between me and him are like trying to like have a drink or whatever and like play some blackjack, but it was weird because you're just like in this cube by yourself. Like it was so odd.
Annoying.
And
Yeah.
like every gas station that we stopped to get gas in as we were traveling through, like mask, like, and that just didn't really exist.
Yeah.
A little bit in Utah, but not hardcore.
No, hardly anything other than I think it made it more convenient to go to restaurants because you could just order out and pick it up and go. You didn't even have to go in.
Yeah.
Kind of like that now. I prefer just to take the food home anyways and eat it.
Do you DoorDash a lot?
No, I just order and pick it up.
Do you?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're
I don't trust DoorDash drivers.
yeah, it's sketchy, but
I know what I
Yeah.
would do if I was a DoorDash driver. I don't trust people.
it is weird. But yeah, me and Tori, we DoorDash every now and then. Like,
My neighbor DoorDashes her coffee. I'm
Really?
like, that's some lazy.
yeah, I wouldn't do that. Like, but I mean, it's sometimes for us, it's like it's a lazy thing for us. Like, you know, we're here working late, and sometimes we don't get home till like 7:30, sometimes 8 o'clock in the summer. You know, and our kids are at home, and they're like, "We want dinner," and I'm like, "God, we're not going to start cooking at 8 o'clock. Like,
Yeah.
we'll just hurry and DoorDash something." And it's just bad parenting. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, we do it at work.
Yeah.
We eat out every day, and now sometimes it's hard to figure out where you're gonna eat. You're just sick of everything.
Yeah. Yeah, and then like if you try and like diet or like eat healthy, like that, I feel like for me that's so hard to do. It's like so inconvenient to
I'll find one healthy thing, and then just do that until I can't stand it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Like I got really into Chick-fil-A grilled chicken nuggets. Now I can't even look at them. I'll just barf. Like
Yeah.
I ate it every day for so long.
I tried like a few months back. I signed up for this like fitness and like program. It was kind of like centered around motocross.
Oh, really?
It's kind of like for motocross athletes, like just like like-minded people, like, and they provided like workout plans, and they would like you had like a coach that would check in with you like every day and stuff like that, and then they would provide you with like meal plans and stuff like that. And I was like, I'm gonna try it. You know what I mean? I'll just see what. And I tried, man. Like, I was like, if I have someone to hold me accountable, I think I'll do all right. You know, like a coach that checks in every day or every other day to see, like, did I do my workouts? Am I eating what I'm supposed to be? And I did it for about a month, and then I hurt my knee. And it kind of like went out the window.
Now it's back to pizza and cheeseburgers.
Pretty much, like whatever, you know. And at that time, I was just laid up in bed, so it was just pretty much whatever anybody brought me.
Being laid up's the worst.
Yeah.
Someone's Instagram marketing sucked you in on that one.
Oh, 100%. 100%. Yeah.
It got you.
For sure. You know, it got me, and I started looking into it, and it's like, you look into it and you're like, man, that's going to change my life. You know,
Target marketing.
for sure. You know, and it's all just because everything I look at is, you know, motorcycle related. Like I watch so many motocross videos online. I still love that stuff.
I'm sure if someone made a pre-workout that was motorcycle based, we'd probably both
I'd
buy
be
it.
eating it. Yeah.
Yeah. Eating it.
Just eating it dry,
Dry
eating the
scooping
powder.
it.
Yeah. No, that stuff's crazy. It works, but yeah, that's exactly what it was for me. You know, it's like sign up like a
Oh, it
monthly
gets
fee.
me all the time. I was telling you, I got into JiuJitsu like 6 months ago. Now that's all I get is, you need this for JiuJitsu, you need this for JiuJitsu, and then just shoving it down my throat. And
I mean, what got you into JiuJitsu?
Working out with one of my buddies that's in it, and he'd come with like a black eye. And I'm like, how'd you get a black eye? Did you get in a fight last night? He's like, jiu-jitsu. You should come do it. It's awesome. And then he'd have like some scratched up nose, and he's like, what happened? Jiu-jitsu, you should come. He just kept inviting me, and I'm like, and he's like, dude, I'm moving back to Arizona. And I'm like, oh, all right. If I'm gonna do jiu-jitsu, I want to go with you for the first time at least. He's like, well, come. I'm moving in like 2 weeks. We'll go as many times as you can get in. I went, and it was so hard to make myself go. Like, I was scared. Mm-hmm. I knew nothing. I didn't do karate as a kid.
It would be an intimidating thing to start.
Dude, it's so scary. And then even more, dude, like, it's trial by fire. We're wearing a gi. They have no gi and gi. Gi is like where you wear like the jacket and the pants and the belt. That's a gi. No gi. You're basically 100. I don't know where this came from, but they wear board shorts and a rash guard, like surfing, like boogie boarding rash guard. So it's like skin tight, and that's no gi. But I was wearing a gi, and then they show you like a couple moves, and you do drilling, and then you practice that move, and then at the end of the day or the end of the class, you roll, which is like sparring. Mm-hmm. It's the first time, dude, that you just stand up there in front of this guy that has
like you don't even know.
And he's got a colored belt, and I got a white belt on, and I knew nothing, and I'm like, oh shit, what are we gonna do? And you start rolling, and that, it's all grappling, no striking, no punching, no kicking, and you get your ass kicked a few times, and at the end of the time, after getting my ass kicked for like half hour, I was like, this is awesome. I freaking love this. Like,
really?
Yeah, and I kept going back, and I was just sopping wet, soaked in sweat. But I loved it. It was fun. Like, you see guys that you watch the UFC and they're beating the trash out of each other, and then they hug after because it's about respect. Mm-hmm. You respected that dude knew what he was doing, and he handed your hat to you.
Yeah. Do you think it's for you? Do you do it for like the fun of the grappling, or is it like a legit workboth?
Both. And
like, do you think
like,
it like
so
replaced like going to the gym?
You know where I contributed to so closely is skateboarding.
Really?
Yeah, like in skateboarding, what's the first trick you learn how to do? Ollie. You learn how to do kickflip, shove it, heel flip, 360 flip. I never did 360 flips. Yeah. I skated. I call myself a skater still. Like, I love skateboarding. That's something that's even carried into my motorcycles, like inspiration. But in jiu-jitsu is you learn a move, and then you learn another move and a counter move and this move. It's literally crazy. Like, because you can find yourself like, you get in this position where you have no idea what's going to happen next, and then all of a sudden you see an open move, like, oh, his arm's up there. We trained on grabbing his arm and putting him into Americana or some other armbar move, and it just starts clicking, and it became like so much fun. It's like a puzzle, like a chess piece puzzle, and it's whoever has the most moves. Or like in a game of skate, like whoever's got the most moves is gonna win.
Yeah, I've never done anything like it. Like, I mean, obviously I listen to Rogan and they talk about it a lot.
Yeah,
and I'd be lying if I haven't, like listened to him and been like, man, that kind of sounds like something I could get into. But I still think I'd be like super intimidated to walk into
definitely
a
he's
gym
made
like that.
Exact, and dude, it's still intimidating. But I think he made it so intriguing for every male.
Yeah,
because you get the other guys, especially like, like Jocko, that big Marine dude that's been on there, and he's a big social media influencer, like motivator.
Yeah.
And they do it, and so like it was very intriguing, and it was just something I thought I'd always like to try. But finally I did it, and it's hard. Some days I do not want to do it. I don't want to go, but I've never left thinking like I wish I didn't go tonight.
Really? Well, and I think the way he kind of pitches it is like that it's not only good, like a good workout, but it's like a mental strength thing as well. and then
so mental.
like creates a lot of discipline in your life. And then, then he talks about like a lot of the like successful people that do it, and you're like, man, maybe I need to do jujitsu to be successful. Like maybe that's what I'm lacking. You know what I mean? That's kind of how I felt.
Yeah.
But
Zuckerberg, dudes like Mark Zuckerberg and even Elon Musk are doing it.
right.
It's crazy.
But I still I don't think I've ever even been like in a fighting gym, like a boxing gym or anything. And I would
either.
I'd be scared shitless to like walk into one. You know what I mean? Like I'm not a big dude. I'm not a fighter. I mean, like it would just be like super intimidating for me to just walk in and just start.
Yeah. It's funny. Now you do it for a while and then you tell yourself, you're like, I could snap this dude's neck at any second of the day.
Yeah.
Something pops off, I'm ready.
Well, I mean, that kind of just goes back to like the mental strength thing. Like it gives you a sense of confidence a little bit.
Yeah, it does.
That, that you didn't have before. Like, not that you're probably ever going to like snap some dude's neck for no reason, but like in the back of your mind, you could.
Yeah.
So I don't know, maybe you carry yourself differently day to day.
Yeah. Especially like it gives you more of a mental clarity of like how to avoid things like too, Before young Dave might have wanted to get in a fight.
Yeah.
Now I'm like, oh, I'm too old for this.
There's no
Let's
reason.
walk away.
Yeah.
Let's get out of here before this escalates.
Do you feel like it allows you to release like any sort of tension or aggression?
Yeah, 100%. You're like, I need to go to jujitsu.
Really?
Yeah, and because first of all, you walk out tank emptied. You have nothing left. If you don't, then you didn't try.
Really?
And also like, it's, if you're not trying to kick someone's ass, you're just trying not to die. Because someone's there trying to kick your ass and submit you and, choke you out or put you in an arm bar and rip your arm off. So that's the fun of it. You're trying to either kill someone
or
in a
just
safe way.
Not be killed.
Or not be killed.
Yeah.
Kill or be killed. And then the marketing, I was telling you, things pop up and then you get all the cool gear. Then it's just another reason. Dude, I found a camo gi the other day. I'm like, ooh, I need this.
Yeah, they're going to get you no matter what. No matter what you do, you're going to, like you were saying like earlier, like if you just had to buy a pair of basketball shorts and a basketball, it's like, no, because there's a new pair of shoes coming out every year.
Yeah.
Or whatever it is, like no matter what it is you do, someone's going to find a way to like sell you more of it.
Yeah. How many accessories though you got for like motorcycles?
Oh, dude, like all of them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
that. Do you remember that video, Adam from Time Warp and Lime Line?
Yeah. He's going to kill us.
We love you, Adam. Lime Line. He did a video of making fun of all the different genres of bikers. So it looks like he did like a video game, pick your opponent.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And he jumps in and there's the Dyna Bro. And then there's like the Hey Brother bagger rider. And then the Sportster kid, hipster. And the chopper guy. That's hilarious. There's so many different costumes for motorcycles.
Yeah. And it's funny. Like I see them all day long here. You know what I mean? Like
you sell dangly things, don't you?
Yep.
And that's what pays the bill.
And they sell.
Sell the shit out of those things.
We sell fringe and tassels and all kinds of stuff. But
what about the guy that you always saw at like the biker rallies that just sold the spray for your sunglasses?
Oh yeah, we sell that stuff too.
And dude, I don't know, someone's buying it because they're at
every rally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They probably make more than we do.
Probably.
We put in all the hard work and then they make the money selling squirt bottles
of water.
Yeah, of water.
Yeah.
It's typical.
Kind of back to motorcycles. Like you've built a ton of bikes. Like, do you have one that? Let's start with this. What's your favorite one that you've built?
I couldn't answer that right now. I'm in the process of building some bikes that I think will, like pinnacle bikes that I've wanted to build for so long. Out of all the bikes I've owned, I can tell you right now my favorite bike to date riding is FXR, my FXRP. I was fortunate enough to find a real Utah. It was a police bike that was Utah that never went to the police. There's a little story behind it, which makes motorcycles cool. You want to hear it? Local owner of the local Harley place around here ordered like 5 or 6 for the local police department. And they were, at the time, it was taking quite a long time. This is the story I got. Someone might know the actual story. But supposedly the captain or whoever is in charge of ordering the police bikes forgot that they even made the order, because I guess the order was taking a long time. And so dude calls him and says, yo, your bikes are here. Come get them. They're finally here. He's like, what bikes? I just put like a new fleet of bikes in service. We didn't order any bikes from you. And they're like, yeah, you did. You ordered them this time. And so they ordered some like Kawasaki's, and they came before the Harleys. And so he sold them in pairs to his buddies. And one of my buddies, Dano, had 2 of them with matching serial numbers and everything, 2 FXRPs. And I think mine's a 1994. Mm-hmm. So they never went to the police, but they're black and white police bikes. I freaking love that bike.
Really?
Like,
do you still have that one?
Yeah, I still have it. I've kept most of it stock, other than I did some over tubes in it, like 2 over tubes. I did everything I could to get off the ground.
Yeah.
For me, I'm always going for rideability and performance. If you can't ride it up the canyons here as fast as you want to go, then the bike's not for me.
What's the point? Yeah.
So everything I go, and that's even in some of the other bikes that I was going to mention, is the choppers, is all high and tight. Mm-hmm. Skinny, high and tight, fast. That's like, be able to split lanes if you need to or want to, or do, even though it's not legal in Utah. Everyone.
But that probably comes, because I mean that's kind of how I like all my stuff, and it probably comes from like your racing background a little bit. Like,
Absolutely.
You were never the dude that was just gonna build a big wheel bagger that like you couldn't even ride.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you want to be able to ride it. Like, if you buy a bike or build a bike, like, you want to go rip that thing.
Before we get into my other bikes, what's your favorite bike right now to date? So you've built some amazing bikes.
Or bought.
Yeah, everyone has their opinion of a built or
bought. Yeah.
Built or bought or bolted some things on. But what's your favorite bike that you've owned?
Man, I don't know. It's hard for me to say, because like I've done, had a few bikes that have allowed me to do some cool stuff. I mean, like my dirt tracker. It's such a simple build. There's really not much to them, but like the things that I've done on that bike and the places it's taken me is cool.
Yeah.
So I kind of give the credit to the bike.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, that's
I mean, my
fair.
Road King is one that like, that's probably the one I'm the most proud of, is my Road King.
That thing's sick.
It was one that like really kind of put me on the map.
You know,
a lot of people.
Yeah, for sure. You and I have always been on the same page of building those bikes. We talked about big boy FXRs back in the day.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what you went for.
Yeah. And a lot of our conversations played out in that build of mine. Like, we were looking at a few that, we were talking about them, and it's like we saw some photos of a few that guys have built, but like none of them were like just right at the time. And I was like, man, I want to do one and try and nail it. And so that, when I started doing that build, like our conversations had some inspiration into that build, like what we talked about. And so, yeah, for sure, that bike is probably, probably the one bike I'm probably the most proud of. That
stems from me saying, like, now that you have adult money, that was probably the first bike that you built with adult money.
Yeah, for sure.
Because back in the day, your first bagger, you had a bagger before most of the younger guys that were into the same style of bikes around here. You in Utah, you were one of the first like bagger with T-bars.
Yeah, I had a bagger, an 08 Road Glide with T-bars and a Thunder header. And like blacked everything out, like
mostly stock, but probably because you didn't have, you weren't ready to step into
I
that
wasn't
money
quite,
game yet.
you know, and that was when I just like opened the shop here. So like,
That thing was sick. I love that thing.
and I love that bike.
I still love that colorway of Screaming Eagle.
The orange and all orange and black. Yeah, I miss that bike sometimes because it was like the most solid bike. Like you could just hop on it. Like everything's so smooth. It was so reliable. Like I loved that bike. I mean, I regret selling it sometimes.
Yeah.
But
If I was a multi-millionaire like collector, I think I consider myself a collector
yeah,
for motorcycles. But if I had endless amounts of money, I'd have one of those in my collection for sure.
yeah, I miss that bike for sure.
That was like when baggers first went real performance, I think, like purpose-built performance. Bigger engine, taller suspension.
The tall suspension was the big thing. Like, you know, I talk to people all the time. And like when I was working at the dealership, like if you came in and said, I want to put tall shocks on my bagger, they would laugh you out of the dealership.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like nobody was putting tall suspension on there. It was all about lowering.
Yeah.
You know, that was the only thing anybody did.
Which makes me sick.
So,
To each their own. Plenty of people, but that's just, to me, makes no sense. Cornering's everything, especially in baggers. Like,
sure.
it's the first thing that's gonna hit the ground is your bag.
Well, and they're already like so wide, you know, everything's hanging off of them. You know, you got footboards and exhaust and saddlebags that are just hanging out there. So like, and then you lower it and you like, you can't even, you got to take every corner at like 20 miles an hour.
Yeah.
You know, like.
You said favorite like bike that took you places and memories. I honestly think my favorite bike to ride 100% is my FXR. Probably the most memories that I've had is on my T-Sport. I have a 2001 OG T-Sport, real fairing, real bags, which is the coolest part of it.
Because everyone's super rare anymore.
Yeah, everyone's got repop. And that to me is a collector's bike. I want to have that bike long enough that I'd give it to one of my boys, my kids. And we treated those bikes. Me and a big group of buddies, we took those. I've done more miles on that bike than any other bike.
Really?
Yeah, and we've gone up. Being in the Western United States, we've done Montana, Idaho. We've been in Arizona, Wyoming, all over Wyoming. And we treated them like adventure bikes, 100%.
Really?
We all got ultralight camp gear. We bought tents, sleeping bag, roll up pads, all the gadgets to make camping a little more comfortable. And we would just head north.
Just roll out.
And roll out. We hit some dirt roads for miles and just set up camp and then go further and then go further. It was so much fun. And they're all on, like, we should have just bought adventure bikes.
Right.
But you use what you have at the time.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. What, if you could build any bike right now, what would you build?
Anything?
Like, you know, and money's not enough, you know, you got to open checkbook, build whatever it is, start with whatever it is you want to start with. Like, where would you go?
Since I'm already building, which I want to tell you about, because I haven't seen you in a minute, I'm building a couple old choppers. I think I'd go buy a brand new Pan America and open the catalog and order every piece of
Really?
overlanding adventure gear.
And you would keep it
Adventure bike.
Keep it adventure bike?
Except for, dude, yeah. I did FXR divisions, Pan America. Mind-blowing, dude. When I freaking saw that street machine, like, they completely, I'd do that to it for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a badass build.
So much money in engineering and CNC parts on that bike. The whole bike's a piece of
It's crazy because
aluminum.
like one of my good friends now that I've gotten to know over the last few years did all of the machined parts on that bike
Oh, really?
for them.
Who's that?
Brian from TPJ.
Oh, yeah.
I've
I
gotten
watched a couple interviews. I don't remember. It was YouTube. Yeah. About building that bike. I don't know if it was on the Harley's YouTube channel or Prism Supply.
Yeah.
One of those guys.
He was pretty heavily involved with that build and like, I'm stoked for him because like he's transitioned like his business model from like building custom bikes. Like he's just a one-man dude, like works in his home garage, like, and has just been building choppers and custom bikes for 20 years. And he's basically shut that down, and he's got, you know, a couple of machines, and he's just building.
Sits on SolidWorks and designs stuff
Yeah,
for
designs
CNC
parts
machine.
and just is knocking out these parts, and he's building some really cool stuff. Like, you know, he got the opportunity to work with those guys at FXR Division to build all that Pan Am stuff, and so I'm stoked for him that like that's taken off for him, and like he's been able to transition because the custom bike world is getting hard. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like way
really
hard.
Well, hard to innovate unless
Yeah.
you're doing something like that. Most of the stuff's been pretty stale. Yeah, everyone could still knock out rad builds
For sure.
but yeah, it's hard.
It's hard to make money, make a living in it. You know what I mean? So
Well, that's the key
but that
word
bike
right
was
there.
cool. Like, you know, kind of followed those guys in that FXR tour that they just wrapped up, and yeah, that bike was super cool. But I think I'm with you. I kind of want to buy an adventure bike. I just don't know if I'd buy the Pan Am.
I've had a couple people tell me that more like KTM's and BMWs have been traded in for the Pan Am.
Really?
Yeah, like, and
Which
I've
I'm
never owned
surprised.
any. Yeah,
Like,
KTM's a dirt bike. That's
sure.
a dirt bike company, and BMW's been in like races like the Dakar for years.
Mm-hmm.
Is it North Africa? Is that where that race is?
I think it was,
I don't know where it's at.
but I think that, don't quote me on this, but I think that they moved it to like South America.
Okay.
But they still call it Dakar. But I could be way off.
Adventure,
But that type of
overland
racing,
race,
yeah.
where you're doing hundreds of miles through the craziest. I've just seen like those videos of dudes going over those dunes.
Oh yeah, and
bop.
just sending it. It looks like they're doing like
Sending it.
100 miles an hour, and they just launch it.
Yeah, it might be just a tiny little kicker, but they shoot like 80 feet
Yeah.
and land like perfect on a giant. Who knows how much that BMW weighs?
Oh yeah,
with
yeah, big old
cylinders
tank
sticking
and
out.
yeah, big fairing. You know, like
Yeah, I couldn't tell you like what's the most capable, but from the Harley standpoint, like 150 horsepower out of the box is nuts. I mean, how much money have we sunk into our baggers or FXRs or Dynas and never get close to that
Yeah.
horsepower out of the gate?
right. Yeah, I think it's impressive. I'd be interested to know, because I'm not well versed in the, you know, off-road or on-off-road enduro bike, you know, how it stacks up compared to some of the KTMs and BMWs. I did get a chance to ride a buddy's Yamaha this summer, that new Yamaha Tenere 7 that they just came out with.
Yeah.
And it was
What motor's in that?
it's the dual cylinder. Thank you.
Your gimp leg's hurting.
Yeah, my leg's just hanging there. I can't set it on anything. But it's the same motor that's like in their street bike, their MT-07. It's like a naked sport bike, you know, 700 twin.
Oh, wow.
And that's what's in that Tenere. But it was like, I actually rode it on our camp out this summer.
Someone
so
brought
we were
one out?
Yes, somebody rode one out to our camp
I was
out.
so bummed I missed that.
And
I was out of town.
you
I'm
should-
sorry.
Yeah, you got to come next year. It was such a good time. But he rode it out there, and so I was like out in the desert when I hopped on it, and like it was like just riding a dirt bike with a 700cc motor, but it was like light and nimble. Like it was wild, like super nice. Like I want to buy one,
Yeah.
and like
That,
if
you want that Yamaha right
I
now?
want that Yamaha. But it's the only one I've ridden.
Yeah.
You know, I haven't ridden a Pan Am. I haven't ridden a KTM. I don't know that I'd buy a BMW. I don't know. They lack cool factor to me.
Except I saw a crotch rocket, one of their crotch rockets the other day.
Oh
It's
yeah, they're building
good
some
looking.
legit sport bike stuff. Yeah.
Dude,
I
I
think-
saw one the other day that blew my mind.
I think it's like their R1000 or whatever it is they call it.
They're so fast.
Yeah. Pretty wild.
We were in northern Nevada on a run, and we saw a big pack of KTM dudes, adventure bikes, and they had like all the bags, all their stuff. And they came up and talked to us, and they're like, "We want to go on a ride like you guys and be on your bikes." And we were like, "We want to be on your bikes." Like,
Everybody always wants what they don't have though, right?
exactly.
That's just how
But that's
how the
why
world
it's fun.
works.
You want everything. Buy one of each.
Yeah. you know, and eventually, I mean, I've been talking about it for 15 years about buying an adventure bike. I've been talking about it for so long. Like, eventually I'll do it, but the time just hasn't ever been right.
It'd be perfect for your camp out ride.
Oh,
you guys had, how much dirt roads did you go down?
It honestly was not even
Only
that far.
footage I saw was all dirt.
It was all dirt, but it was like
because I mean, it was in like mud.
150 miles to the town that we, you know, and then it was like 2 miles of dirt road. But that 2 miles, because it had been raining all day, was like a nightmare. It was like nobody could like, because it was like a dirt road, but it was like dirt that they had brought in, and it was like clay.
Yeah.
And so like the rain just made it like ice. It was so slick.
Dang, man.
And so, but that's why everybody, and I'll give Jordan the credit. Like, he was one of the first ones to be like just get off the road and go out in the sagebrush. And he's like, and you're fine. It's not slick out here, because it was like the natural like sand, and like there was like weeds and stuff, so it wasn't like super slick. So he just like bombed off into the sagebrush on his Softail, and figured out that was the way to get to camp, is to don't go down the road, just get off the road and go down the sagebrush.
Yeah.
But
not all of us think like Jordan.
That's why he gets paid the big bucks. No, but yeah, our camp out, I mean, it would have been cool to have you. We're planning on doing it next year. We might have a new location. We're working on a better spot.
Yeah.
With more amenities, which would be nice.
That seems like a nightmare with logistics and planning, but
it was, but like the way it all just ended up, like
you had a lot of help. That was like when you were putting together your conglomerate of Utah motorcycle.
Yeah, we had you know,
and
the Blackline guys and Chandler from Hoggish and Saxon. He was at South Valley Harley at the time, but
all good dudes.
Yeah, they're all solid dudes, and we were all just like, we all just came together, and like there was no like drama or bullshit between us. It was just like, yeah, let's just put on a ride, a camp out like together, and just have a good time. And it was cool for me because like it was like one of the only events that I've done since I've opened here where I didn't have to go and like worry about working. You know, we didn't set up a booth. We weren't trying to sell merch. It was like just a legit motorcycle trip.
Yeah. Everyone I know that's in the motorcycle industry and shops has a hard time finding time to even ride.
Yeah.
In fact, I know a bunch of guys at dealerships
who
those
don't.
Guys never ride.
I've said it on this podcast before. When I worked at the dealership, I didn't go to any rides, any events, any rallies, or anything the whole time I worked there.
Yeah. We were just talking about our buddy that just finally retired. He said the most excited thing he has is just to have weekends.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, yeah, you've been working Saturday, Sunday for the last 17 years.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's crazy to me.
Yeah, it's the dealership life is tough. I mean, and I'm still kind of in that world now. I mean, we still work Saturdays here, but
you guys have done these ride outs too, which are awesome.
We've done our ride outs, and I mean, and like I take my crew, like we did our camp out, and like I'll take our crew to the races, or like we went to the Four Corners rally, and we locked the doors and we all went together.
That's huge from a business standpoint.
You know what I mean? Like, it cost me money to do that. Like, it cost me money to lock the door and then to take my whole crew to whatever rally. But like, I just have the mindset of like, I don't want it to be a prison like it felt like I was in at the dealership for these guys. And hopefully they come back from that like energized and like want to work, you know? And I think it works.
Yeah. Well, getting out of the state, getting out of your little bubbles, and especially Utah, we're in a huge bubble. Mm-hmm. We're in a tiny bubble. But getting outside your city and out of your state and meeting other dudes, other bikers, other builders, other shop managers, and building memories. Like most of our memories, we always talk about SEMA, like going to Vegas and having fun for 3 or 4 days. If you ask my crew, what are some fun memories, it'd always probably be SEMA or Vegas or something. Or we're headed to Arizona. We're going to Dino's Get Down in Phoenix, Arizona next weekend.
Okay.
Super
and you're taking
excited.
like some of your guys?
Yep. We're taking a friend and 2 main guys that work in the shop with me, Chris and Junior.
Yeah.
And it's mainly a C10 thing, which we're super into C10s. I think if we talked about like car stuff, I would mostly talk about C10s.
Really?
C10s or JDM cars. But yeah, there's supposed to be like 4,000 C10s
Really?
in one spot. And it's right after SEMA. So what's really cool is you get all the SEMA builds and they all go back to Arizona. And it'd be like having, you know, like a big motorcycle event right after Sturgis, like of building, or I don't know. Someone, or like, I guess like Born Free or something, like some huge, if people were working on bikes for a year or two and then you really get to see them in person and meet the people that built them. It's more chill than at SEMA, less of a business standpoint.
Right.
It's a show.
That's cool. I mean, and I'm sure that like your guys probably love working for you for I mean,
debatable.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
It's
we've been
definitely
working together a long time.
a working relationship for sure. And that's not easy to manage.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I don't know how it is for you, but sometimes it gets tricky because like you start traveling with some of your guys and you're hanging out and then it's like your friends and your buddies, but they still are your employees. And so then it like gets tricky sometimes to like manage expectations.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it creates it's not easy.
Yeah. There's honestly some employees that I have that I really stay away from, and not because I don't like them, is we don't need to have that close of a relationship to do our jobs.
Yeah.
But then there's the couple guys that you are really close to, that you're brothers. I hang out with them more than my own family.
Right.
We're together 10 hours a day. And even on the weekends, and then we get our families together and do things like that together. But
Yeah. I mean, so you are legit friends.
Yeah, and I've had bad experiences. Oh my gosh, like some bad experiences where you have a falling out, or you have to fire them, or they just don't think you're treating them up to par. They want more money or something, and you can't afford to do it or something. It might be out of your control, but it goes south, and then that really sucks because you had a friendship built up, as well as
and it's all soured because of money or time or whatever, you know.
Then you're forever
Ego.
the asshole.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, you still have a business to run.
Yeah.
And, you know, if you could pay them whatever they think they are owed, you probably would if money wasn't a thing.
Yeah.
But
That's a
at the
huge
end of the
thing.
day, like a business has to be profitable or it's not going to be a business anymore,
Yeah.
you know. So it does get tricky there. I mean, I've had plenty of my fair share of relationships going sour, you know,
Yeah.
with friends and family.
Friends and family.
And so it's definitely a tricky one to manage. But on the flip side, you could go full like hard ass and just, you know, like they are in the dealership, you know, and just totally be, I'm the boss, you're
Business
the employee,
only.
and you're going to work these hours and that's it. And that's our relationship.
Yeah, that I think as a business owner, that's exactly what you don't look for. I mean,
It's great for business. Well, I guess you could argue that. But the thing is like...
well, especially if you own multiple locations.
Sure, it's good for business, but like at the end of the day, the end of my life, like I'll look back and look at all these things that I went and did, like whether it's with my crew or whatever, and it's like I'll be more proud of those things than the bottom line of the business. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because you're only going to have the memories.
Right.
Even things, you might not have a bike anymore, but you'd have the memory of the bike, and then the memories with the people that you did the things with,
Right.
or built it with.
Right. And so like that's the one thing that probably has the most value, like, you know, us going to rallies and shows and races, like those are just building memories that like I get to have forever. You know, it sucks that like if some of those relationships with some of those people go sour, but still we had a good time while we were doing it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
What's your favorite rally to go to right now? Since you've built Tucker Speed, you've been all over the country now,
I've gone to a lot of stuff,
which
for
some
sure.
local shops don't.
No.
I know local shops around here, this thing's sinking, that never go to out of state deals, or maybe close to, but you've been all over the country. You go to East Coast.
I've been everywhere from, you know, Daytona Bike Week to Sturgis to Born Free, Four Corners. You You know, we did a lot of the V-Twin Visionary shows there for a few years, which were fun to kind of travel with.
That was cool to watch you do those.
I mean, I think if you ask me today, like the one rally that I'm most excited about right now is the Four Corners Rally.
I've heard that from a lot of people.
You know, we've been there twice now. We were lucky enough that like this year, like we had the opportunity to kind of be, not just go to the rally as like riders or enthusiasts, but like be involved with the rally. Like we set up a booth at the dealership. We hosted like an after hours party. That was cool. Like, you know, it was like the event of Friday night was the Tucker Speed after hours party. Like,
no way.
And
Yeah,
like everybody at the rally was coming to our party. You know what I mean? And the place was packed, you know, and there's a DJ and a mechanical bull and a bar. And like, I mean, and there's just industry people wandering through like at our party. And it was like super cool.
Yeah, that's a proud moment for sure.
Yeah, it definitely was like super cool and surreal to, you know, see, you know, I don't want to name drop all the people walking through there, but, you know, some people that I look up to in the industry, like just hanging out at our party.
That's so cool.
And it's a cool opportunity. So that's probably the one I'm most excited about, because I'm hoping that our relationship with those guys grow. And, you know, we've gone to Sturgis a handful of times, and Sturgis is fun, but sometimes it's like almost too much. It's too big. There's just too many people. But it kind of depends. Like, are you asking me that from like a enthusiast standpoint or from the business standpoint? Because like if I'm talking business wise, like if I go to Sturgis and say I set up a booth somewhere for a couple of days or whatever, nobody's going to come home from Sturgis and be like, oh yeah, I remember those Tucker Speed guys at that booth, because there's 10,000 booths up there. You know, whether you're going over to the dealership and there's just every brand and truck and trailer and booth and they're selling this or that, or you go downtown and it's just lined up with vendors and whatever. It's like you just get lost in the mix, you know. The cool thing about Four Corners is that it's a big rally, but it's not Sturgis big. So like you can have an impact with people. Like you can have a conversation with the dude in the booth.
Yeah.
And he's going to come home and then call you later to buy a T-shirt or have us build his motor or something like that. You know what I mean?
I'm sure you might feel like you have more of an impact on the smaller thing, but I'm sure you touch people in the right way, even like one or two dudes, even at the bigger events. Maybe. I remember I went to a show, but it was a smaller show, but I still remember the dude, it was Born Free 2. Born Free was a small show, it was in Long Beach. They shut down one of the main streets, and Mullins Chain Drive. He had a table no bigger than Jordan's equipment table there with his triple trees on there, but he made really skinny triple trees, and I remember wanting his trees for years. In fact, I don't know, you'd have to look it up when Born Free 2 was. This is probably over 10 years ago, but I'm putting his trees on my chopper that I'm building right now. Actually, both choppers. Building a shovel head and a pan head. And literally just because I met him at that show, I rode, me and a couple buddies went to Long Beach for the weekend, had a great time. And I just remember him having cool parts that I've never seen before. And I know you take your bikes around, and your bikes are mind-blowing, so I'm sure someone there is like, dude, this kid in Utah built the sickest bike. So maybe that's my take. Maybe
it's, you know, maybe we've made that impact or not. I don't know. You know, I still look at it as just like, I'm just a small shop in Ogden. Like you know, I'm not anybody special, you know? So like,
at the same time, do you ever just sit back and like, because I think I do this all the time. We've grown into bigger and bigger shoes, but the shoes that I'm in 10 years ago, I didn't think I'd be in. Like, you never thought you'd have to be pushing out 20 bikes every morning to get them out of your way, out of the back of your shop.
Right.
Like that's, and
well, I mean,
you never think you'd own not one, not two, but 3 amazing touring bikes. That's crazy. Like sometimes you ever pinch yourself and
for sure. Yeah. I mean, definitely when I sit back and think about, you know, the bikes I have, the bikes I've built, the places I've been, the people I've met. I'm just like, man, that's, you know, and think about like the flip side. Like if I would have never left the dealership, if I was still just bolting on chrome doodads at the dealership, like I could have been doing that for the last 10 years.
Yeah.
But the things I've done in the last, 8 or 10 years, because I've stepped out of that and just found my own way, like it's definitely crazy. I would have never thought that 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Never.
I remember when you first started this place has morphed and morphed and morphed into some crazy, like,
Yeah.
you have your own freaking dyno room.
Yeah. I mean, and that dyno machine, like, that dyno machine stays booked up. You know what I mean?
bet when you first started this, you're like, I probably won't have a dyno. Like that's too expensive.
Oh
that's
yeah.
crazy.
It was like a pipe dream
Yeah.
at the time. You know what I mean? It was like, one of those things that I always wanted, but just figured I would never be able to afford it. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And there it sits, paid for in full, and just
Really.
making money every day. You know what I mean? So it's wild.
It's crazy.
And and I've been lucky enough to like make some relationships with some good tuners around the country, and I have shops and places around the country that when they have customers call them about tuning, they're like, if they're in our surrounding states, they're like, go see him. You know what I mean? So like my reach is getting out there, which is also crazy. You know what I mean? I remember when I first started, and if I could pull a customer from Salt Lake, I thought I was a big deal because I'm just in Ogden. You know what I mean? And Salt Lake seemed like so far away.
It's a bigger city, yeah.
You know what I mean? And now I have, on a regular basis, have people, ship bikes or they'll drive in and get a hotel for a couple of days while I dyno tune their bike.
You've been mainly dynoing now.
That's pretty much all I do. You know what I mean? Like I don't really do a ton in the shop anymore. I'm in the dyno room pretty much every day.
What's the biggest number? Who has the record here?
Um,
Do you know?
I guess, I mean, we've dynoed a couple of turbo bikes and they have everybody else beat.
Yeah.
But like,
What are those things at? Like 150?
no, they're, like the one turbo bike's like 180.
Holy.
You know what I mean? But I've done multiple bikes, whether we've tuned them or some that we've built and tuned that are 150 plus.
What, naturally aspirated?
Naturally aspirated motors.
M8s?
M8, all in M8s. M8, I mean, and the thing is like the M8's out of the box, it's such a better motor than the twin cam.
I need to go for the record twin cam.
I mean, you're not far out. Like you
was
definitely
crazy.
you definitely got a good start, like with your 120.
I never posted numbers yet, and I forgot. Mm-hmm. And we need to do a post on that.
Yeah.
That thing was crazy. It's a twin cam 120R with big cams, dark horse bottom end, HPI intake, big injectors. And that thing hit, you got it to like 130 horse. Mm-hmm. And then you said, it just has like just a Two Brothers pipe on it. No shot at Two Brothers, but it's not like a big performance. I think a pipe, I can get more horsepower out of it. Mm-hmm. And then you had some like shimmy. Didn't you say like in the drivetrain? You said,
yeah, I think it was like the clutch.
Something in the tranny or the clutch.
Yeah.
It's an aftermarket clutch, but stock tranny.
Stock transmission.
That's a lot of horsepower for a stock.
Yeah,
speed.
definitely. And I think, if you wanted to, a 130 horsepower twin cam is
It's a riot.
is pretty respectable. You know what I mean? Like
It pulls
back
a
in the
front
day,
end.
like in the dealership, like they used to have like the 100 horsepower walls. You know what I mean? Like if you got over 100, you were the talk of the town. You know what I mean? So
That was my goal in my Dyna, to just get over 100.
yeah, and the thing is, I think like with the M8, the new benchmark is 150. If you get over 150, then you get your name on the wall.
Is that pretty easy?
I don't want to say it's easy, but it's definitely.
What does it take?
To be 150 plus, you're doing a full motor build. You're doing a crank,
Big bore.
like a,
Crank even, bottom end.
Yeah, 128, 131, something like that. Big cam, big head work.
What is the Harley brand, like their Stage 3 kit? Do you get 150 out of those?
Oh, no. Not even close.
You gotta do aftermarket stuff?
Oh, yeah.
I've
had a few that I've tuned that were built at the dealership, like even their crate 131s, and they maybe make 125.
Oh, really?
They're pretty soft. They're pretty mild. Yeah.
I was wondering one of those takes. Out of the box, do you think that engine is better than twin cam?
I do. And I wasn't a believer in the beginning. We had conversations in here like, oh man, the twin cam is the greatest motor ever. Like, we were joking that we were going to be the old dudes in the bar, in 50 years that were like, twin cam was the best motor Harley ever made. And I was just like not on board with the M8 when it came out, but now working on them for a few years and building them and seeing what they can do, how reliable.
You're pushing the limits because you're in the bagger race league. Racing.
Yeah, I mean, with my race bike, my race bike makes 160 horse.
Dude, that's wild. Is the gearing different, or could you ride it on the streets?
I could ride it on the streets. Yeah, definitely. The gearing, in the transmission, everything's stock. Gearing, because it's chain drive, I can alter the gear ratios, with front and rear sprockets, and I'll do that depending on the track. But it's still
your tranny's stock
gear ratios.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Like right now, I have a Baker Grudge box in it.
I want to do one of those.
So yeah. And I guess they're not technically stock ratios, but they're streetable ratios. I should say that. So yeah, I rode it once up over Trappers.
Yeah, you did that little testing right before.
Yeah, I had built the motor and just wanted to kind of test
it out. Those are some big curves. Did it?
Oh no, that bike's
around?
So solid, dude. That bike's
on rails.
Yeah, it's not. You're not even riding a Harley, really.
Really?
Yeah.
It looks crazy. The seats you guys run, those super
tall seats. Yeah.
That looks like it would be super.
Well,
weird.
the bike's not easy to ride around town because I can't touch the ground.
You can't touch the ground?
I can't touch the ground.
Oh, that's crazy.
Because the suspension's 5 inches taller than stock, and then the seat's 3 inches taller than, like a normal seat.
Yeah.
So it's 8 inches taller than your standard Road Glide.
That's insane.
So yeah, I have to it's like me being 14 and trying to ride a full-size motocross bike again is what it feels like. It's just hard to stop. You got to get off to the side and so you can reach the ground with 1 foot.
Yeah.
So around town, it stop and go. We went up over the canyon and then back down, and then we rode it down to the taco shop. And at every red light, I'm trying not to tip over and look like an idiot.
Those videos on the midgets hurrying, jumping over.
Yeah, that's what
jumping
it felt
back on.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I like the M8 motor. I still think the twin cam's a great motor, but I love the M8. I love it.
Do you think Evo is a dinosaur?
To me, it is. And I still think it has its place, and I still think they're cool.
Yeah.
But
you probably wouldn't buy a crate Evo to stick in something?
Oh, I would.
You would?
I would, for sure.
What?
For the right bike,
Chopper?
Chopper, maybe, yeah.
Fast.
Or even if I was going to, if I wanted to build a cool FXR, but I wanted to leave it an Evo, I would buy a SNS 111 or 124 and drop it in there for sure.
Yeah. You think you'd ever if you were gonna if I gave you an FXR chassis, what engine would you stick in it?
I would lean towards doing an M8 FXR.
Yeah, which has been done, but that's where you'd go.
That's where I'd go. Yeah. There's been a handful of them done at this point, but just knowing the potential of an M8, you know what I mean? It's just cool.
If you're going for power, which is what you and I always try to go for.
Yeah.
Fast.
Yeah. And I'm just I just know the M8 at this point in and out.
Oh, especially because all your tricks and trades for your race bike.
Yeah. My race,
it works.
Yeah. And it's, really a lot of what we're doing here in the shop anymore is M8 only. We still work on a lot of twin cams.
Yeah.
But when we're doing performance builds, it's all M8 stuff. You know what I mean? So just comfortable with them.
Yeah. I haven't seen you long enough that I saw you just finished your other bagger. It's like a look-alike to your race bike.
Yeah.
What else is done to that thing?
It's a mild street build as far as like motor goes. Stock bottom end. It's a big bore 124 because it started life as a 107. So it's the short stroke. So it's a 124, just like a mild bolt-in cam. I did like a little in-house like head service on my that I just did myself, and new valves and springs. I mean, and it made 130 horse.
Nice. So
And-
you might be able to keep up with mine.
Yeah, yeah. But you know, and like I said, that's just a mild package that I would sell to anybody walking in to my front counter right now. Like, you know, we could do a big bore, just clean up the heads a little bit, put a bolt-in cam, the decent pipe, like you're going to be 125, 130 horse all day long.
Nice. That's
And
a
it's
big number, but fair.
and it's like, you know, I want to say it's relatively, you know, inexpensive. I mean, but it's still crazy that, you know, a job like that is, you know, $4,000 to $6,000 depending on what you put into it.
Wow.
So it's not cheap, but people are that's what people are spending on motors nowadays.
$5,000 or $6,000.
Yeah, it's not uncommon.
You think inflation's hit our industries as much as the rest of the world, or other
Yeah.
other scenes or hobbies?
Yeah, I think so. Especially, you know, the aftermarket world
Where have you seen it the most?
like
I know on clutches, we couldn't get a clutch.
it's the clutches are still that way. Man.
What is it
Clutches
about
are
a clutch
I don't know
that's-
what it is, man. I don't know if it's
Couldn't get clutch plates.
and it's still that way. Like we legit, like I was shopping the other day for a clutch for a guy, and it's like I'd say 8 out of 10 clutches are still on back order.
Yeah, and we had to end up ordering a different clutch than we wanted, just 'cause
Yeah.
basically took
It's like you
the
just
best
gotta,
of what was in stock.
yeah, you got to just get what you can.
It's such a pain.
And it's still the same way. And I think that inflation is, you know, even in tires probably, you know, I don't want to say they've doubled in price, but they've gone way up in the
I
last
remember-
2-3 years.
Oh yeah, I remember just you can go get a new tire for like $100. Now
Yeah.
it's like 300.
Yeah.
or 250. Mm-hmm. That's really annoying.
So tires have gone up, and it's hard, man. You got guys that walk into the front counter and they're like, "Yeah, I just need to get a new front rear tire," and you're like, "Yeah," like, and we used to be, you know, well, we still are cheaper than the dealership, but now it's like you tell a guy, you know, it's $600 to do 2 tires, and he's like,
What?
"Whoa, I thought you guys were supposed to be less expensive than the dealerships." Like, well, we'll beat their price, but that's just what it is anymore.
Yeah,
you know,
that-
the tires themselves are, you know.
Hurt your feelings a little more just getting new tires.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, I definitely think it's hit our industry just as much as it's hit anything else.
Yeah.
Automotive, housing, you know, whatever. Everything's more money.
I mean, not to completely divert, but food is the worst. I get so pissed off going to the grocery store now.
Oh, dude. I mean, and
Or my family, it costs $100 to go to like Chick-fil-A. That's stupid.
it's no joke. I mean, and you got kids just like I do. You go to the grocery store to feed your family, and it's, you know, even if you try and go easy, it's an easy $400-500.
Yeah.
And that's just like not really like spoiling the kids. That's just getting the bare minimum.
Yeah, the bare minimum.
You know what I mean? You could easily spend $600 to $800 at the grocery store to feed your family.
Yeah.
Really quick.
Yeah, when I don't know where the number comes from when they talk about inflation being up only like 7 or 10% or what. I'm like, dude, it's like 200%. What are you talking about?
And I don't know if I think Utah's housing market is one of the worst. You know what I mean? Like,
They say we're one of the worst.
I just feel bad, like, because my 2 older kids have moved out of the house. You know what I mean? Well, my son, Jer, he moved out and they got an apartment, but they had to move back into our basement because it's like they can't afford rent. They had a 2-bedroom apartment. It's like $1,800 a month for a 2-bedroom apartment. Like, not even a nice apartment either.
I did a move in the past like 12 months, and the only reason I did is because I capitalized on being able to sell my house for way more than I bought it for, and then but I paid the.
You paid it for
Inflation.
whatever you bought.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you build this bagger to ride it? Is
Yeah.
this your daily?
Yeah. Yeah, and I got to put 100
it's not
miles.
a show bike because you can't outshow your race bike. That thing is your race bike is insane.
It's been cool to like show the race bike, and the race bike always stands out at shows because like because it's a race bike. You know what I mean? Like it's just stripped down. Like everything on it is there for a reason.
Yeah,
and the reason is to make it go fast.
Or stop fast.
Or whatever, or turn fast or whatever. You know what I mean? Like everything has a purpose. So it like usually stands out in the shows. But yeah, I mean, I just barely built that bike, but I bought that bike at the same time as I bought my race bike because I was going to build them both at the same time back in 2020.
Yeah.
But I just barely got around to finishing this one. But yeah, it's supposed to just kind of be the streetable version of my race bike.
Yeah.
So, and I just barely got it done right before we went to Four Corners, and I put 100 miles on it while we were there before I got hurt, and that's all I've ridden it.
Yeah, that's been a huge bugaboo in your life, this being an old man and broken.
Stupid broken knee, yeah.
That sucks.
But
I felt so bad when I saw him. I'm like, no. Didn't you get hurt in one of the last races you're in?
Well, I wrecked my BRL. I wrecked my BRL bike in July in Illinois. I like bruised some ribs, but that was it. Like I raced the rest of the weekend.
But you were in full leathers.
Yeah.
With all the pads. What's it like to slide across the concrete at 80 miles an hour?
It was pretty crazy. That was a wild one. Like, and it like happened like so fast. Because I was doing like, I didn't know how fast I was going at the time, but like in our GoPro footage, you could like kind of zoom in on the speedometer, and I was doing like 90 in that corner. And like, so I was leaned over. The reason I went down is I was doing 90, leaned over, and my primary touched.
Oh, is that
what happened? And that's what like, so I hit the primary and it just like unloaded the tires and just slid out.
What's your average speed on tracks? I'm sure it varies.
It varies with tracks. I mean, if you're talking about Daytona Speedway, which is another like X Games type thing in my lifetime, like racing on Daytona Speedway. I mean, the average speed out there is well over 100 miles an hour. I mean, we're doing 150. I think 100 on my bike. 160 is doable on my bike at Daytona with the right gearing.
Dude, that's wild.
But at Daytona, it's all about gearing. Like you can't put enough gearing on the bike. Really? Like you physically run out of space.
I've only gotten to see in person one race live. That was when they came to Salt Lake. And when you guys it was really cool because we got to walk out to the wall.
Yeah.
And have you guys just fly right by us. When that first big left turn after the straight, I can't believe, I'm like, you guys are going so fast that I'm like, this is a bagger. They can't go that fast and turn that fast. And I can't believe I lean it and bank it in and making it. It was insane.
Yeah.
Like this, it's pushing these Harleys to the limits.
Oh, for sure.
It's
and I
insane.
tell a lot of people like the scary, because everybody always asks like, like how fast have you gone on the bike? It's like, well, at Daytona, I've done, 140, 150 at Daytona on that bike. But 150 is not the scary part. The scary part is like that corner.
How fast are you going on
like
that corner?
That corner in Utah. Like you go down the straightaway, and then there's a hairpin turn at the end of it. Like the turn is the scary part.
Yeah, look, you're going fast enough that it looks like you were just going to go straight into that wall.
That straightaway, I was hitting about 120. And then it's like full brakes and into the corner.
You drop gears too?
Yeah. I think at that one, I dropped 2 gears. I would downshift twice.
Front and rear brakes?
Oh, yeah. But mashing on the front brakes, like as hard as you can. Yeah.
That's when all your suspension has to be dialed.
Yeah. And then it's like, it's like a feel thing. Like you can't, like the more you start to lean, you have to like let off the brake. Because if you're like still mashing the brakes, it's just going to like lock the front up and tuck the front. So there's like a feel thing there. Like, but you're still trying to, and I think the hardest part for me is like holding the throttle for as long as you can. Like while you're seeing that corner come up and you're just like holding it. And like your instincts is like
whoever's got the biggest balls.
Yeah. Is to like drive the furthest into the corner, but still be able to stop and get turned, like that's the hard part. Yeah. It's not the top speed. It's the going from top speed to getting stopped to make the corner that's the hardest.
I noticed a lot of stunters are in the racing.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that plays, because those guys, stunters ride their bikes to the limits
Mm-hmm.
and learning, and especially like when you're going into a skid or doing like circle burnouts and donuts, especially like when they're like almost drifting their bike, is no one, that's like what you exactly don't want to do on a Harley, but guys that are riding that style, I think, do you think that comes in a huge...
I think it definitely gives them an advantage. Definitely, because and those guys, I mean, to get to that point, to be able to drift and to stunt and or to even, wheelie and, hand drive, like they spend a lot of time on their motorcycle.
Have you seen the videos of, like, sport bikers do that? They're almost going to a corner, like, in a nose wheelie and then put down the rear and they're sliding sideways, like drifting.
For sure. I mean, I follow like the Moto America and the Moto GP series, like the sport bike racing. I watch that stuff pretty religiously.
Yeah.
And those dudes, like if you watch some of those dudes in slow motion, they're jamming on the front brakes. They could jam on the front brakes even harder, but they're like borderline gonna nose wheelie over.
Yeah.
So some of them are like back tires in the air, and it like kicks them out sideways and like.
Dude, it's amazing to watch that. Probably giving up our $1 million idea, but when are we gonna see baggers on the Isle of Man?
That'd be cool.
That'd be dope.
That'd be wild.
That is like, if anyone hasn't seen that, Google or YouTube Isle of Man race.
Those dudes, I don't even know. Like those dudes are on
it's
another
like watching
level.
death.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't know how you do that stuff. Like the way.
Where is it? Is it in Ireland? It's in one of the, or Scotland. It's on one of the islands.
Yeah. Something like that.
I'm retarded. I don't know where. It's
but
over
you watch
there
some of those
where
videos,
they talk funny.
And and like they're blasting like through some of those like cobblestone walls and stuff.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was
Like
gonna say.
their shoulders are like,
If they crash, they die.
oh, you're dead.
Which multiple people die all the time there, right? There's been
I don't think.
deaths.
I mean,
But there's like, and it's right through the middle of a town. You might be going by some little cafe, some houses, and those guys are, what speeds do they get?
I think they're well over
200s?
200. Yeah.
It's insane. That's one of the coolest things. Me and my buddy Mikey have always wanted to go out and watch the races. It's been like a bucket list thing to
It'd be
go
something
watch.
to see for sure. The Isle of Man is like one of those, kind of like the Dakar. Like it'd just be cool to see it.
Yeah, but how cool would it be to see Harleys out there?
That'd be wild, man. I'd never even thought about that. But
I just blew it. We could have
somebody will
put
be out
it
there.
on.
Yeah, somebody will be there next year.
Yeah.
But
Well, I haven't seen you also. Last time I was here, you had a new cool tool, a frame machine,
yeah,
a jig. What do you want? Is it called frame jig?
frame jig, I guess you could call it. I mean, it's
Completely over-engineered.
it's built on top of like a weld table, but it's got a frame jig built on it for the M8 Softail frame. Is what it is right now.
I'm gonna need your assistance this winter. Build season for us Utads.
Yeah.
Utads. Utads. Though, you probably are the same way. I have these builds in my head, and now it gives me anxiety until I get them out.
Yeah.
And now that's been my life with Powercult, is expressing these builds that I've had in my head, like ideas, like a painting or a drawing or whatever, however you want to put it. But like I'll get a color scheme in my head before I even build the bike. And then you're like, well, what am I going to put that on? But I really want to do, and people have been doing it. Unfortunately, it's kind of like pretty popular the last couple of years, but up frame FXR, like a chopped FXR. I want to do it.
They're cool.
Are we going to do it?
I'll do it. I'm
do
down.
it.
Yeah.
I have a twin cam motor for it.
Oh, okay.
It's and there's so many ways to do the twin cam. It's a touring. It's like it's the 103 that came in my bagger.
Oh, okay.
That we pulled out
Yeah.
for the 120R. I also have a performance chopper that I want. It's like an itch I got to scratch. Like, it's definitely not your old period correct, but it's not necessarily your 90s big wheel chopper.
Yeah.
Super performance, high and tight, skinny, probably a little bit of an up frame, no rake. I'm not a huge rake guy, even though one of my choppers that I'm building now has some rake, but it's because it's the way it came. And it looks good. But a lot of performance parts, juice brakes, some high-end stuff. Probably the same stuff you guys like, stuff that you put on your race bikes, but on a chopper.
On a chopper. That's kind of the plan for why I have that table is I want to build an M8 chopper and have it be very performance styled. You know what I mean? That's what I want to do with that table.
Yeah.
That's why I built it. That's the reason I built the table. Is to build
what's some of the look that you want to go for on it?
a lot of that same stuff, like maybe a little bit of upstretch, D-rake even, or just not a ton of rake. I'm on the fence on what I want to do with rear suspension or
Leave a swing arm or hardtail.
swing arm or hardtail. I don't know, because I thought it would be cool, like hardtail and like inverted front end, like polar opposites of, in the suspension world.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Put the best and the worst together.
yeah, and just look at have people be like, well, why would you do that? Like, why would you hardtail it and inverted front end? Like,
Man, we had one mocked up back in the day at Sid's shop. We had it was a Sportster with a little bit of a rake, and we had a Buell inverted front end on it. And then we sold it off. We never did
built
anything
it.
with it.
Yeah.
I was bummed on that one.
so yeah, that's kind of the idea I have with that. Like, I'll probably, the color palette will probably be bright and wild because I don't know, I like bright colors. Probably, stems from my 90s motocross love of, neon colors and stuff like that.
Yeah. When we first started posting pictures, and my bagger, it got reposted a bunch by the bagger Instagrams, and everyone's like, looks just like my 90s mini truck. I'm like, good. 'Cause that's exactly what we're going for. Yeah.
That's definitely what it is. Like, crazy
100%.
neon colors, zebra stripes, like.
Yeah, I was going to mention to you, Adam's kind of out of the paint game for customers because he's got Limeline going so strong and his content that he's doing that he really doesn't do customers' bikes. But I had something that he wanted, and he actually was really thinking about doing the mini trucker stuff because he kind of had one on his it's like a, I don't know, is it a dyno or an FXR? But it's like a shovel head engine.
Oh yeah.
He did like a 80s wild paint job on it.
Yeah, I know what
A retro paint job.
Yeah.
And he's like, dude, I wanted to do this, so I got lucky and scumbagged him into doing that for me.
Yeah. Well, it turned out killer.
Yeah,
Like
I was beyond stoked.
yeah, it's a super unique paint job
That one's a trophy for me.
for sure.
And it came out insane, like for power wise. I got lucky on that one. Someone had that engine, and it was like torn up. It was in pieces, sitting at Golden's bike. And BS was like, "Oh, I got the perfect motor for you. I bet we can get it for a good deal." And I got it super
worked
cheap.
out.
Yeah.
No, and it's a great motor.
Are they
I
still
mean,
even making those motors?
I don't think so. I don't think so. I think they've canned the whole everything twin cam.
Yeah.
Is done now, I think. So
Yeah, I was stoked on that. You want to use your frame? You got what else do you want to build?
possibilities are endless, you know what I mean?
I guess we already said enough to keep us broke for the next 10 years.
Right.
Adventure bike, these performance choppers. I'm in the middle of building something right up. You just had our buddy Cody on, Cody Weber. He builds some really cool classic old choppers, and I'm building. It happened. It was an accident. I bought a 76 Shovelhead. It was a complete bike, and it was like their touring bike. So it was at the FL, and like it had hard bags and some weird rake. But I bought it just for the motor and trans, and I was gonna build a chopper. And the frame was bent, and the guy that was originally gonna do it said, I don't want to use this frame, and bought another frame, and one thing led to another, and now I end up doing a panhead. It's like a 56 panhead.
Oh, okay.
Then I'm doing like super period correct, or trying to be period correct as much as I can, but going out and finding the parts and not just ordering catalog
repop stuff.
Yeah.
Like trying to find some legit. And that's a hard thing to do, and that's a time consuming thing.
Luckily, I know we do have a little bit of that scene here in Utah with
Yeah.
a couple nice guys that I can call at any time. And most of the time they go to all the swap meets and then I reap the benefits because they go find
Yeah.
it for me. Hey, I'm looking for this.
Yeah.
I've gone to a couple, but and half the time I don't know what I'm looking at, so I might get screwed anyways.
You're right. That's the hard part too, is
Learning
like what goes to what year, and is this part legit or is it just a fake lookalike? Like it's hard.
It was one of those rabbit holes I didn't want to go down, but now that I kind of did, but with the right people guiding me, it's been such a breath of fresh air of something
Really?
new, and it's been a blast. That's the other part about my business is, I mean, I'm sure you have to get burned out on motorcycles, right?
Yeah.
Is there ever a time that you're like, I don't want to look at a Harley anymore, and so I'll go jump on cars or trucks.
Yeah.
And that's one of the best part about my job is I get the chance to do that. I have my motorcycle shop completely separate from the
car
truck shop,
and
and there's times where I won't step into the motorcycle shop for like a week or two. But and then there's time where I get sick of cars and just blast music, turn on the hardcore or punk rock music or some hip hop and just jam out on the bike
mess
stuff.
with the bikes. Yeah. That's one thing that would be cool, because like for me, all day, every day, it's just Harleys.
Yeah.
I mean, and I still love it, but sometimes it does get old. It can wear on you at times, you know, and that's the rallies and the races and things like that are what keep me loving it. Like that's the stuff that keeps me moving.
Something to look forward to,
For sure.
like a vacation.
Yeah, it's a vacation. It's just a reset button. You know, get out of the shop for a few days or a week. And
Also for me, when I go on these trips I'm looking for inspiration.
yeah.
100%. Like you go to something like SEMA. Oh, dude, you come back like with a fire under your ass.
So many ideas.
For
Yeah.
1 week.
Yeah.
And then you fall back into your old schedule. No, but for real, I'm looking forward to going to Arizona just for that, looking for inspiration.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
meet cool new people. Dude, how long have we been going? Is that the timer?
145. Yeah. Should probably start wrapping it up.
Yeah.
Wife's going to wonder where you're at.
Yeah. My kids mostly.
Wife don't care.
Yeah. Just where's dad?
Yeah. No, well, yeah, I appreciate you coming out. You know, we hadn't talked in a few months. I don't know, it's been a little while.
Busy. Yeah.
You know, and I get it. Like, you got a business to run, you got stuff going on, you got a wife and kids, and life happens. So, but I was stoked that you wanted to come out and do the podcast.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
So,
I was really excited just to catch up.
yeah, for sure.
See, everyone, I just want to say that, you know, I'm a loyalist, and I've always considered myself loyal to you guys, and what you've built here is like, I truly love, and this has come with age, is seeing my friends and my homies succeed. And like, it's super awesome to see where you've taken this.
And same for you. I mean, for you to do what, you know, have a passion project and just do the stuff you love to do, like, it's cool to see.
Yeah. For people there's people that are bummed out that we're succeeding and doing things. And I don't know how people live like that, but seeing your friends succeed and seeing what you've built here is truly amazing.
Yeah. And I appreciate it. I mean, and you've been a supporter since day one.
I think I have. I tried to.
You know,
and I'm sure you have the bigger fanboys. I try to be here as much as possible, but you guys are killing it.
Yeah.
Stoked on it.
I appreciate it. Well, if people want to follow Powercult, you guys are on Instagram.
Mainly Instagram and YouTube.
Okay.
We're gonna ramp YouTube back up this summer.
Yeah.
Trying to just do fun things. We're just film us doing like the same dumb shit. Like even if it's jackass shit, you know, just fun things.
Yeah.
Because we have the big space. We have the junkyard. We used to do some stupid stuff could get us in trouble or hurt.
You're right.
So stay tuned.
Yeah. No, it'll be good to follow that stuff. But thanks for coming out and chatting with me. Appreciate it.
For sure. Appreciate it.
All right, man. Thanks.
See ya.